In today's video, I'm going to talk about a few things that I would like to see improved upon in Baldur's Gate 3's early access. Just note that I make these videos not to nitpick things or demand things. I make them so that we as a community can discuss things and possibly help Larian in some way, shape, or form develop what many of us are hoping is the RPG of the decade. Now, I have done a video on what to reasonably expect on Baldur's Gate 3's release, so if you missed that one, go watch it as I talk about the things that we already basically know will be included in the game on launch, such as more and improved character customization options, custom parties, more classes, etc. I also did a video on the 5 things that I want added to the game that we don't really know if they will be added, such as the dodge action, flying and climbing, and more. Links to both of those videos will be below. In this particular video though, I'm going to only talk about things that are currently in early access right now that in my opinion could use some improvement. Let's jump right in. So I did a poll while I was streaming Baldur's Gate 3 one day, and to my surprise, more players said that they liked the local in-game map than what I expected. It was probably about 60% didn't like it or wanted to see improvements made to it, and 40% or so like it just the way it is. With this video, let's get a bigger sample size and you guys let me know your thoughts on the Baldur's Gate Act 1 map, and that goes for the Underdark map as well. Now, I'm not talking about the map when you try to leave the Act 1 area, which shows the Sword Coast to the city of Elturel. This map looks beautiful in my opinion, and I actually wish the localized map took on more traits similar to this one. I'm talking about the map that pops up when you click M. The first thing I want to bring up is that the pathing of your characters on this map when you're moving has been greatly improved upon, because before you would watch your party walk all over the lines, and it was really hard and confusing to even tell where or what a path is. Thankfully, it's much better now in this department, but the overall map in my opinion is still just quite a cluster of lines, which can make it rather confusing to navigate, and it's also really just not that exciting to look at because of that. It's got that 1,000 termites over your hardwood floor look to it. Now, I don't hate the map, and if it stays this way, I will make do, but I do think it could be improved upon a bit to make it a little easier to look at. The first thing that could be considered is just reducing the amount of lines on the map, or if not that, perhaps just making the less important areas, the nook and cranny areas, less defined or more translucent, while actual pathways and roads could be more defined with harder, darker lines. I think this would immediately make the map appear less clustered, and of course that would make it less confusing to look at. For example, near Waukeen's Rest we have this major road, while all of this area above it, where the gnolls are, is kind of off the beaten path. When looking at the map, you can't really see any indication of what's actually a road, everything just looks like a termite tunnel. Another thing that could be done is adding some minor artwork to represent important things such as gates, bridges, buildings, waterfalls, etc. It doesn't need a lot, but a simple indication of the gate to the Druid's Grove or the front entrance to Waukeen's Rest I think would be wonderful. I would only of course want all of this to show after you have explored the area. And lastly, this map just isn't that great at displaying elevation, and if Larian could find a way to do that a little bit better, even just a little, I think it would be a nice improvement. So what I'm advocating for here is just some minor improvements to the map that we already currently have. Let me know your thoughts on the map below in the comments. Next up, I want to talk about weapon and shield holstering or sheathing, and also quivers. When you holster, or I guess you could say sheath a weapon even though there's no scabbards currently in the game, your two-handed weapons and most of the versatile weapons I believe will go right onto the player's back, while the non-versatile one-handed weapons will tie to the player's waist. Now it would be cool to actually see weapon belts and scabbards, but maybe that perhaps is a little bit more on the nitpicky side. All that I really want here is for shields to show on the character who puts their shield away, and also to be able to see quivers in the game. Right now when you put your shield away it just disappears while your one-handed weapon still shows. I would imagine that most shield players take pride in their shields, and they don't want them to disappear when they just slot the shield. As far as quivers go, I don't think there's any quivers in the game, correct me if I'm wrong. Arrows and crossbow bolts just appear out of thin air. Now, I'm fine with unlimited arrows, even though I do like games where you have to craft your arrows, but a representation of a place to store your arrows, so a quiver, in my opinion would add a lot to the visuals of this style of play. And like the shield users, I do think that primary bow users take pride in their quivers. The third thing I would love to see improved on and expanded upon is party selection. I understand the style that Larian is going for right now, with the clean look for the chaining mechanics, which forces us to drag portraits around, connecting and disconnecting them from each other. The problem, though, is that it can sometimes be frustrating and also a little annoying. Selecting and deselecting party members should be simple and quick. It shouldn't take 4 clicks and drags to try to join Astarion and Will together, while separating your character and Lae'zel and then realizing you didn't actually separate Lae'zel. The system does work if you do it slowly and really focus on what you're doing, and you can develop skills to do it quicker. But something like this, in my opinion, should not require any of that. Personally, I would be fine with a click and drag rectangle, like you can do in many other CRPGs. I do understand that dragging squares and rectangles all over your screen isn't exactly immersive looking, but in my opinion, it's even less immersive feeling to be constantly frustrated over something that should be simple to do. This could absolutely be an optional setting, and maybe even be turned off by default. If rectangles isn't the solution, perhaps just allowing us to shift click on the actual characters, not their portraits, and doing this would allow us to then select multiple characters. They all highlight when you click on them, holding down shift, allowing you to do multiple, and then move only those characters when you click on the ground after. This would also solve the issue of not being able to move multiple familiars or animal companions in one go. Right now you have to move each familiar individually, and when you move them to your desired destination, you better not forget to hit hide, otherwise they will auto-run back to their masters. I think improving upon the overall party selection would do wonders for basically everyone. This next improvement I got more so from the community during my streams and in my videos, and it has to do with the food that's stored in your camp. Food can be quite heavy in this game, so players will most of the time right-click on the food that they pick up and send it to your camp storage. When you get to your camp and you're ready to rest, you then have to run over to the storage chest to try and figure out how much of that food you actually need to get a full rest, and then you have to split the piles, drag them, etc. I feel like a lot of players would rather just have to click on the bedroll alone, and all of the food available in your camp would then show up for you to select. You wouldn't have to run over to the storage chest and move things around. If food can be magically teleported from the world directly to your camp with a click of a button, I think the food can also maybe make the jump to your bedroll. And lastly, this is a quick one, but it might be divisive, and that is, if a door is closed, I personally don't want to be able to see into the next room. Some doors and areas are already like this in early access, but many are not. If my character does not have a possible line of sight on a room or an area, I think it would be more exciting and engaging to not be able to see into that room, at least on your first visit to that room. This would force players to scout ahead more often and make more use out of their stealthier characters and the environment itself. More brute force focused parties would have to just go for it, which would also be fun in its own way. I don't think we need this fog of war all over the open map. I think mostly the game is fine, just in areas that are clearly closed off from the characters. And that will be it for today's video. Not really anything special with this video, and I didn't really even do the script that well, so I apologize if things were not articulated well. Just wanted to get out this video with my initial thoughts on some things that should be improved upon, and patch 7 is likely right around the corner, so maybe we'll even see some of these changes in the month of February. Dun dun dun.